Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're tackling what is probably going to be the single biggest financial decision you'll ever make: housing and major purchases. Whether you're a student planning out your future, a recent grad figuring out that first paycheck, or just someone who really wants to take total control of their financial destiny right here in Zambia, you are exactly where you need to be. We're diving deep into Module 2.2 of the FinLit Zambia curriculum, and we're going to put that age-old debate of renting versus buying under the microscope. And we're going to do it using cold, hard data. Grab your notes because this explainer is about to completely change how you look at money.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the rent versus buy myth, uncover the true cost of owning property, and compare renting directly to investing. Then we'll give you a rock-solid framework for any major purchase and wrap the whole thing up with a quick knowledge check quiz.
Section 1. The rent versus buy myth. Let's test this assumption.
If you grew up in Zambia, you've definitely heard it, right? Renting is just throwing money away. You gotta buy property. It's passed down like absolute financial gospel. But blindly following assumptions is incredibly dangerous if you don't actually run the numbers. So let's look at a real-world case study. Meet Chanda Mutala. She's a 31-year-old civil servant in Lusaka. For 3 years now, she's been renting a nice flat in Woodlands for 4,500 kwacha a month. But you know how it is, her family is constantly pressuring her to buy a house. Well, she finds a property in Roma for 540,000 kwacha. She's got 100,000 kwacha saved up for the deposit, which is great. So she goes to ZNBS, gets approved for a 440,000 kwacha mortgage at an 18% interest rate over 20 years. Her new monthly payment? It jumps to 6,734 kwacha.
So the crucial point is this massive, honestly shocking number. Over the 20-year life of that loan, Chanda isn't just paying back her 440,000 kwacha principal. The interest alone, literally just the interest, comes out to over 1.17 million kwacha. Just let that sink in for a second. In the first 5 years of this mortgage, nearly 90% of her monthly payments are going straight into the bank's pocket as interest, not towards building her own equity. When you add up her deposit and all those total repayments, that 540,000 kwacha house ends up costing her over 1.7 million kwacha.
Section 2. Uncovering the true cost. The hidden fees of property. Now, that interest figure is staggering enough on its own. But here's the thing. The purchase price of a house is kind of an illusion. People always fail to budget for the invisible, hidden costs of actually buying property in Zambia. The minute you buy, boom, you owe a 5% property transfer tax to the ZRA. On a 540,000 kwacha house, that is an immediate 27,000 kwacha in cash you just have to hand over. Then you've got legal and conveyancing fees to actually transfer the deed, usually another 1 to 2%, plus PACRA registration if you're using a business entity, and the survey and valuation fees the bank demands before they even look at your loan. Before you've even moved a single piece of furniture into the place, these hidden costs add a massive 7 to 10% right on top of the sticker price.
Section 3. Renting and investing compared. Let's look at the alternative.
The math on mortgages can be a tough pill to swallow, especially with high interest rates. But hey, we're not saying buying is always a bad move. We need to neutrally weigh both sides because they both have legitimate perks. The case for buying is solid. You do build equity over time, property is a fantastic hedge against inflation, and you get ultimate stability. No landlord can just kick you out. Plus, let's be real, a mortgage is basically forced savings. On the flip side, the case for renting is equally compelling. You get incredible flexibility to move if you get a new job, your monthly overhead is way lower, and you have zero maintenance burden. If the roof springs a leak, well, that's the landlord's problem, not yours.
Now, what's really interesting about this is what happens when you actually run the numbers on the renting side. Remember Chanda? Her rent was 4,500 kwacha, but her new mortgage payment was going to be 6,734 kwacha. That is a monthly difference of 2,234 kwacha. What if Chanda decides, you know what, I'm going to keep renting, but I'm going to be ruthlessly disciplined and invest that 2,234 kwacha difference every single month at a 10% return? Over 20 years, thanks to the absolute magic of compound interest, that invested difference grows to approximately 1.7 million kwacha. That matches the wealth she would have built by buying the property. So yes, a disciplined renter can absolutely stand toe-to-toe with a homeowner. The catch? You actually have to invest that money. You can't just spend it.
Section 4. Major purchase framework. For anything over 50,000 kwacha.
What we're talking about today extends way beyond just housing. If you're looking at a vehicle, heavy equipment, or a piece of land, you need a reliable framework. So here are the 4 indispensable questions you've got to ask yourself. Step 1. What's the total cost of ownership? Don't just look at the price tag.
Add up the insurance, the fuel, the maintenance, the taxes. Step 2. What is the opportunity cost? Essentially, what else could this money be doing? If you drop 500,000 kwacha on a car, what are you giving up in potential investment returns, like treasury bills? Step 3. Income production. Does this asset actually make you money? Financing a vehicle to run a taxi business makes total mathematical sense because the income justifies the debt. Financing a luxury car just to look cool, it doesn't. And step 4? Well, let's look a little closer at step 4.
Let's move to step 4, the 72-hour rule. For absolutely any purchase above 50,000 kwacha, you have to mandate a 72-hour cooling-off period for yourself. Wait 3 full days. Why? Because behavioral economics tells us we are wildly vulnerable to something called present bias. Salespeople are experts at manufacturing urgency, right? They want you signing papers while you're hyped up on emotion. By forcing yourself to walk away for 72 hours, you give your logical brain the time it needs to catch up, run the math, and figure out if you actually want this massive financial commitment. It is literally your best shield against impulse buying.
Section 5. Knowledge Check Quiz. Let's see what stuck.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we've covered today. Let's do a rapid-fire recap. Number 1. When Chanda borrowed that 440,000 kwacha, her payment jumped to over 6,700 kwacha a month, ultimately costing her over $1 million in just interest. Number 2. First-time buyers have to budget an extra 7 to 10% for hidden costs, like that 5% property transfer tax. Number 3. Renting is definitely not throwing money away if you invest the difference. Doing so can build you 1.7 million kwacha in wealth, just like our example. Number 4. Taking on debt is really only justified when the asset produces income that outpaces the cost of borrowing. And number 5. That 72-hour rule is your ultimate defense against present bias.
If you want to dive even deeper into this stuff, play around with the actual calculators, and really master your financial future, I highly encourage you to head over to finletzam.org to check out the full Educator Edition curriculum. The tools are right there waiting for you. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Now that you know the real true cost of interest and all those hidden fees, will your next major move be to just blindly buy because society tells you you're supposed to? Or will you choose to rent, invest, and ruthlessly run the numbers for yourself? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Stay curious and keep building that financial literacy.